everyone, welcome back to A Sold by Zink with your host Samantha. I am in studio with Georgia. Georgia is a content creator and founder of Elation. Am I saying that right? Why am I overthinking that?
No, you're saying it perfect.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I love that word, by the way.
Thank you. It means basically just like true happiness.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's me segueing already into what Elation is right off the bat. But yeah, hi, I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited to be here. Yes, I'm the founder of Elation. It's a creative agency, and we kind of have two different verticals. One, just your basic kind of creative agency where we do content management, production, creation, and then an experience side where we curate experiences for brands and creators. And the whole ideology behind Elation is to just bring happiness to life, whether that's through visuals or experiences.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm always like, I'm so elated.
Yes.
So,
elated.
It resonates for sure. So we'll get into everything. But I always like to just start with your background. I know you and I just touched on that a little bit because I feel like a lot of people that come on, they're not from LA. And I always I feel like talking about LA is a big part of this podcast too. I mean, all my guests they live in LA. So it's talking about what you love in LA and just spots that you go to. So where are you from? What is your background? Did you go to school? How did you end up sort of getting into this industry as well?
Yes. So I probably did like the most non-traditional route to get to LA. But okay, so I'm from Pittsburgh, fellow East Coaster because you're from New York. And I went to school for sports, arts, and entertainment management. Focusing more on the entertainment side. I went right into music. So I moved to LA producing music festivals for Insomniac. So like all the EDCs, Beyond Wonderland, all that. Loved it, loved producing. Picked up a camera on the side to kind of just take pictures of artists and people at these festivals when I had time in between shifts, and realized how much I loved it. Started traveling a lot for the festival, so kind of also then realized how much I loved traveling and creating. And then almost like long story short, the pandemic happened, the music industry shut down. I was like living in LA, then broke, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna pay rent? Like, the music industry isn't a thing anymore. And that's when I was like, okay, cool, like, I'm just gonna start a company. Like, how hard can it be? Like, this should be easy. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the best decision that I've ever made, but it definitely was way harder than I thought.
Oh, yeah. No, I know that. It's weird because when I started my company, I had no idea what I was doing, but also it kind of just was, I don't know, it was hard, but it was easy because it was meant to be. So I'm like, well, everything is just aligning and I'm picking it up really quickly. But to just like start and have nothing, especially if you don't have anybody investing in your company or any money to start, that's the tough part because then you have to get scrappy, right? Which I'm sure that you did.
Yeah, but I think there's like a beauty in that too. And I'm sure you can relate to this, that when you start your own company, like you said, sorry, my hair in my mouth. When you start your own company, there is nobody there to like tell you, here's exactly how you do it, or here's what you should do next. It's very much learn as you go, like, I don't know, YouTube University for some of the stuff. Like, I remember I had to write contracts, and I've never written a contract before. And I was on YouTube, how do I write a brand partnership agreement? And I know now that that's not the most ideal way to do it, but you just have to do what you have to do and when you start out.
Wait, that's hilarious. I did the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was on the brand side and then I moved to talent side. So, I couldn't really take the same contracts.
Yeah.
So, I would Google talent contracts and a lot would be for like music artists because this is when I was doing it was like 2017. So, it was the very beginning of influencers. So, there wasn't a lot online. And I like I couldn't afford an attorney. So, I like rewrote the words.
Literally. And now like there's ChatGPT, so you can just say like, write me an influencer contract.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Legally, I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah, say legally I don't think obviously is what you should do, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely did it the hard way.
Yes.
But I actually, okay, so now that I know that, I want to talk more about starting a company because when I have people on this podcast, like people do a little bit of everything. I just across the board, I love like everybody coming on, but I don't have a lot of entrepreneurs who have started an agency like myself. Ooh. And it's resonating. And I think it's really cool because when I started my agency, when I say that, like it was just me, myself, and I.
Same.
I would listen to podcasts and I would pick up what other people did and do it myself. So let's talk about your experience. You come up with this idea. Number one, how did you come up with this idea? And what are these like scrappy steps that you took to start the business?
Yeah. So, okay. So this was probably like right around when the pandemic started. I started like traveling before I came up with this idea to start a company. I started traveling with my camera, and I kind of bought my camera on a credit card, bought a one-way ticket to Europe, and I was like, let me figure out if I can work with hotels and use my camera to like pay my way through Europe because I want to travel, but I'm too broke to do it. So let me see if I can offer a skill, right? And this was kind of before it was like a thing. Like now everybody tries to work with hotels in exchange for photos. So at the time when I was doing this, hotels were very much like, oh yeah, like that's so cool. Like you can stay with us. So I ended up going to Europe for a month, taking pictures of these hotels. I literally didn't really even know how to use my camera. Like sometimes I just had it on auto and I was taking pictures for them, but it worked. And after that, I kind of had this whole like mindset change where like there was a gap in the market where brands want to work with creators. They want to travel like industry, like hotels, tourism boards. They want to work with brands and creators, and creators want to travel and work with brands. But like there was no like I want to say like glue, like piecing them all together for like one project or one thing. So that's kind of what initially sparked my interest in creating a company that did that. And again, we do so much now at Elation, but the original idea was we're going to create experiences where we can bring a brand and creators into a location internationally and work with these tourism boards so everybody's kind of like getting a piece of the cake and everyone's happy. And we still do that, but now obviously it evolved into like so many other things, which I'm super excited about. But with that, some of the like scrappier stuff was I kind of had to like, again, in the beginning of working with these hotels, I didn't have like a portfolio. I didn't really have like you should hire me because I've worked with all these companies already, right? So I had to do a lot of stuff for free. I think like I went on vacation with my mom once and I like pretended to take pictures of the hotel and like pretended that I worked with the hotel because I wanted people to think like I worked with this like Hilton hotel in Myrtle Beach when really it was just a vacation with my mom. And I guess that's kind of like a fake it till you make it kind of thing. But it worked because then I got a job with a Hilton in, I think it was Vienna, because they thought I worked at that one in Myrtle Beach. Watch them like listen to this right now and be like, oh my God, you lied to us.
I mean, it's actually super smart though.
Yeah. I guess it was just finding little things like that where I don't want to say like lying, but being resourceful to be like, okay, what can I use in my current situation that could potentially benefit me for a future like goal or client or idea that I want to pursue.
Yeah, because I think that's a struggle with somebody who wants to start an agency, but they don't have previous experience to showcase. Yeah. So how do you land that first client when you have nothing to show? You're like, I'm driven and, I am talented and I can do XYZ for you. But then they're like, show me your previous work. And you're like, oh, well, you're my first. So then someone has to take a chance on you and it's very expensive. So doing that, I think, is super smart. And it's almost like influencers posting gifting, right? That brand isn't paying them or partnering per se, but they're saying like, oh, I'm partnering with like, Aloe.
Like, thanks Summer Fridays for the lip gloss, even though like we just like bought it off Amazon or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that, I love that. That's such a good idea.
Yeah. I think like specifically for agencies, if you want to start an agency, from my experiences, we call them spec ads. So just literally shooting passion projects. Like you're saying, if your like dream client is to work for Adidas, then go find a pair of Adidas shoes. Like, oh, I thought you were wearing Adidas for a second.
Oh, no.
Then go find a pair of Adidas shoes, find some friends, like just make them wear them and just shoot whatever your idea might be. So that way you at least have something in your portfolio whenever you are in the room with the client from Adidas.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so you were sort of doing UGC before UGC was a thing. So your whole pitch was, I want to stay in your hotel.
Yes.
And I will provide you with images and perhaps videos to use on your website, social media. So then you have, like, I'm your photographer for a free stay.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was the pitch.
Yeah, and like sometimes they would include like a breakfast. Sometimes they would include maybe like a massage or an activity. So yeah, I think I gave them 10 to 15 professional photos, and then this was kind of before video was a big thing. Like maybe one drone video because I had just bought a drone, so I was like trying to figure out how to use it, but I was really bad at it at first. So I gave them stuff, but I don't think they ever actually used the drone stuff. It was more the like 10 to 15 professional photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, because I feel like video did sort of come like the years to follow.
Yeah.
Like right now, no one wants static images.
Yeah. Like if I even tried
especially
to
travel.
Literally. If I even tried to pitch like 10 to 15 photos now, they'd be like, we want like 2 photos and maybe 10 to 15 videos.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So then now you're traveling. Now you see like, okay, there's an opportunity here that no one else is really doing this in terms. Obviously, there's a ton of travel creators and they've nailed that. But in terms of an agency that's gluing all of these pieces together and like giving an opportunity to creators. So you have this idea, and then how do you turn it into like larger scale projects? Like what brands are you pitching? What brands are you eventually working with?
Yeah.
And then the tourism boards. Can you give examples of like some campaigns that you organized?
Yeah. So, okay. So I'll give an example of one of like the first campaigns that we did up to like one of the most recent projects that I worked on. Okay. So one of the first ones that we ever did, we worked with a luxury travel agency in the Dominican Republic, and they wanted us to come out, shoot a ton of different content so they could have it for essentially the next like 3 to 6 months for their socials and updated website. So they brought me and my business partner. I have a business partner. His name's Jack. Great guy.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack. They brought us out, and they brought 10 other creators out. And it was our job to kind of produce that campaign, find the creators, bring them out there, manage what each creator was going to create for the company, because they wanted a bunch of different perspectives. So that way they would have a ton of different content, not just from like my eyes or Jack's eyes, but from all these other people. So we did that. That was great. They paid for everything. They paid on top of it. And that was kind of our first moment where we were like, wow, this actually works. We were like, how cool. Like, this is sick. Like, we're going to be able to do this. Like, people actually benefit from this. Like, how cool. So that was one of like the first projects. I was with the Dominican Republic agency.
And when you say brought you out, were they covering flights?
Yes. Yeah. So sorry. They brought us out to the Dominican Republic, and we stayed in one of their villas that they owned. And like paid for everything, like activities, food, like they even gave us massages, because they were like, ooh, like we'll just treat you guys. And we were like, wow, you're gonna treat all 10 of us to a massage? It's crazy.
Yeah, that's so nice. I'm also getting like a flashback, because in like 2020, I think around there, I just feel like the past few years flew by, and I forgot about this. But I used to be like, I think an agency like yours used to email me with this pitch deck of what you're talking about, being like, hey, we're going to take 10 creators and work with like 10 different brands in this location. We'll fly you out. And then they weren't paying, but it was like, come and showcase the brands.
Okay,
and it would be collaborations. Like you'd have to post maybe like 5 times on your feed of all the different brands while you're on the trip. So I totally forgot about that. I feel like it was like 50 years ago, but I'm like, well, I have a flashback of this.
That's funny that to me, that's so interesting that somebody pitched that to you, because I'm like, wow, people were pitching that.
It could have been you, honestly.
I know, honestly. It could have been. But no, I think very similarly, that's pretty much what we do, except we won't do more than one brand at a time unless like there's some I don't know, it's up to the brand and like how, and like their contract and exclusivity stuff. But normally we'll work with only one brand, because when you get like multiple brands involved, it gets tricky, because then it's like, what can they use? What can't they use? Like what time and attention goes to this brand versus this brand, and it's like a lot. But yes,
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, whoever was pitching me, it was like, and
honestly, it could have been me, like you said. Who knows? Back then, I was like trying to see what worked. So maybe I like found like your email on LinkedIn or something, for all I know.
Yeah, and but it was multiple brands, and it wasn't like these are secured. It's like potential brands that we would reach out to, because I think they were trying to lock in the creators and the brands at the same time.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, that's so funny. And I forgot about this era until you just mentioned that. And I was like,
you're like having PTSD.
I literally, like, in the best way possible. I was like, I kind of missed that.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like social media moves so quickly.
It moves so quick.
Where I'm like, it feels like 50 years ago.
Literally. Well, that's why, because it's crazy, because I'm only in year 3 of Elation, but it feels like I'm in year like 15. As I'm sure even with your own business, you don't realize until you like take a step out of it, like kind of where you're at, and how technically it's only been X amount of time, but it feels like a lifetime. But to me, when I look at that, I'm like, wow, that's so exciting. I have so much more ahead and so many more ideas that I get to do.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy that it just felt like so long ago. I know I've been feeling so like, I don't know. I was like the other day or recently, I've been thinking about bloggers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, we couldn't even.
They're like extinct now.
It's wild. And that how people like don't even know like the bloggers or like the OG like YouTubers. Yeah. It's just like we're moving so quickly. Like, so when you mentioned that, I was like, it almost like warmed my heart a little. I was like, oh my God, I missed that time. Literally. You know, even though it was like 3 years ago. But still.
I think somebody just mentioned this the other day. Who is it? Like the old YouTuber, like Jenna Marbles.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
I used to love her so much. And somebody who was in the YouTube space didn't even know who she was. And I was like, am I old? Like, am I considered old? Like, I'm only 26, but I'm like, am I considered old now since nobody else knows who Jenna Marbles is?
I forgot about her.
Yeah.
What was she? Yeah. And the funniest thing is, like, she wasn't even like a true influence. Like, she was funny.
She was just funny. Then people just liked her. But she was like a YouTuber.
Yes.
And like now people don't even remember her because they only remember like TikTokers. So it's just such a different world.
She doesn't even post anymore.
No, she doesn't.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about, feeling like nostalgic. I feel like we're like 80 years old. Like, remember that time?
Literally, I feel like I like have my tea, like my little like cane. I'm like Jenna Marbles.
Like the old lady on Titanic. We're like just dating back.
Literally.
Okay, so I love it. I'm fully in it. I was seeing the vision. Now, so you had your first one.
Yes.
Now take me from there with like the campaigns to come.
Yes. So okay, so another example of something that I just did last week was I was hired so I'm a drone pilot, a licensed drone pilot.
Oh, wow.
And I love it. Like, I love flying my drone. I love seeing.
You've come so far.
I know. From back before working with hotels where I was scared and like almost crashing in their windows. And now I'm getting hired to do drone stuff. It's so cool. But last week I worked with this resort, Amangiri. It's like 30 minutes outside of Page, Arizona. So it's kind of on the cusp of Utah and Arizona. But that was, I guess, in the hotel world, that's considered, I guess, like the Mercedes of the hotel world, right? Or like the Lamborghini or whatever. I don't know cars, but I'm trying to create an example.
Like top notch.
Yeah, so that was a really cool experience because it kind of happened on accident. So I got hired by them to do drone, and we did a whole campaign for them, and it was me and 2 other girls. So it was an all-female team, which I loved because usually there's not like an all-female team in the creator world. Usually there's like, not that I hate the guys, like love the guys. I have a lot of guy friends, but it's just different, as I'm sure you know, whenever you're working with other like ambitious like women, you're just like, wow, I feel so empowered and so creative. This is sick. So that was one of my recent projects. Another one was I produced a documentary for Smug Mug and Flickr in Bangkok, which was so cool. Like, I was technically considered a field producer and also drone pilot. So, I kind of am all over the board with stuff. Either a brand will come to me and I'll curate, like I said, the experience or the campaign for them, or I accidentally also kind of fell into the being the actual creator myself with the drone or producing.
Yeah. So you've evolved. What is your favorite thing to do out of everything?
I would say producing.
Okay.
I love, for me, producing is like giving me like a jigsaw puzzle that's like really hard to figure out, and being able to come up with clever ways to make it fit perfectly, and then the picture just looks so perfect and it's ready to go. So I love producing. And then I also really do love flying my drone. I just like that perspective because like not that many people can see it, and not that many people, I mean more people do it now, but not that many people, I guess, are drone pilots. But everybody's a videographer nowadays.
Well, the thing is I'm obviously in the industry and I work with influencers, but I don't think, I mean, obviously a lot of them aren't talented like that. They're just sort of in their house. Like they're they're amazing creators and they can use their iPhone and like put videos together in TikToks.
Yes.
But I think obviously your talent is very specific and needed that a lot of influencers in a saturated space don't have.
Yes. And I will say actually, so I guess, so I've been like giving you information from more of like the agency owner side of me, but like if I'm going more, I guess like influencer side, I don't even like consider myself that, but I guess like as micro influencer.
Content creator.
Yeah, I say content creator, but I guess from that perspective, I have noticed that because brands will come to me like wanting me to post as if I am the influencer, and I love it obviously because I get to incorporate like these brands into my travel content. But I have noticed that when I put the idea that I do drone into that pitch, brands are like, whoa, like what? Like you're gonna put our product in drone? Like that's crazy. Like yes, absolutely. And yeah, I guess just adding to your point, I didn't realize how actually like cool I guess that is to brands until that started happening.
In your resume, you know, where you're like, I can do this too. Yeah, absolutely. Especially nowadays when brands are relying on influencers / content creators to film what they'd hire a photographer or videographer for. So that is important, especially like these hotels. And if the brand wants to be a little like out of the box and different, I do feel like a lot of brands are wanting like the same. It's like, the same content.
It's the same UGC
in people's
stuff.
House, like,
or like holding the product up. But I will say it's kind of, so it has its advantages to pitch that way if I'm pitching to like a brand on the more influencer side for myself. But it does have its disadvantages because a lot of brands do want that just regular like holding your iPhone up, talking with the brand thing because it's a lot more natural, and I totally get that because I like work on campaigns where people want that, and I know like the why behind that. So sometimes I've even lost brand deals before because they don't want that higher quality like drone stuff. But then for me, I'm picky, so I'm like I'm not just gonna like hold a vitamin ad up with my face and be like, hey guys, like try this vitamin, right? Like if a vitamin company wants me to do something, I want to like make it sick. Like I want to do like a stop motion in the airport or like throw the vitamins up while the drone like flies up, you know what I mean? Something crazy. But then they're like, we don't want it crazy. We want just UGC. We just want you to hold it. And I'm like, well, okay, shit.
Well, you're
I'm like, I'm not gonna do that.
Storyteller, like you don't want. Yeah, I was going to say, is it kind of awkward for you to do that style of content?
I think it's not. I wouldn't say it's awkward because it just like it's fun. But I would say it's awkward if, I don't know, it's so weird. Like as everybody has their own brand, they have like their own like non-negotiables that they want to like share and post. And I just love like something that looks so good. So if I have to post like myself, like in a very like UGC like ad way, I'm like, I don't really want to do that. And that's kind of where it becomes awkward. And that's when I have to be like, okay, cool. Like I can't, if it's just with me, like not if it's with Elation, if it's just with like Georgia, then I'm like, okay, like I can't really work with this brand because I'm just not going to feel creatively inspired. And I don't want to just create content to create it. Like I want to, like you said, like become a storyteller and like actually give you something I'm proud of. That's my voice, not, hey guys, try this vitamin.
Yeah.
But no hate to people who do like the, hey, try this vitamin. Like I always get hit with those ads on Instagram and I end up buying the vitamins. I just like, I can't, I don't know. It's like awkward for me to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's just different types of influencers out there. And I do feel like with the rise of TikTok, it really went from that, just the video content that we're used to seeing on YouTube that's super engaging to more, I guess, intimate of like, I'm in my bedroom and the camera's not moving. It's just like a FaceTime call, right?
Literally. And I'm so used to, I think that's too, I'm so used to like on the agency side, coming up with these elaborate, like crazy ideas for brands that when somebody wants me to just sit in my room and talk about a video, my mind is so trained to be on this side. I'm almost like, how do I talk about this again? I'm like, I don't remember.
Yeah. No, I completely, I get it. And you stay true to yourself with it, which I think is important too.
Yeah. I am like big on that with, even when I work with brands, is trying to like really showcase their authentic voice, whether it's a service, a brand, a creator, because I always think that in the end, like authenticity will always win. Especially in this world of digital media where like every single person has social media and everybody's trying to like do something or be someone. I'm a big believer in if you're your authentic self, like that'll go so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a question, and this is going to be like influencer you, but also agency owner.
Okay.
For me, I pitch all day, every day, right?
Same.
And so does my team. But I feel like there's a lot of influencers out there that manage themselves, or somebody who wants to start a business like yours.
Yes.
How do you pitch brands? And how do you pitch like hotels, companies? What works, what doesn't work? Any tips and tricks?
Yes, that's a good question. I'm
just thinking of like what you're saying. I'm like, it's resonating, and I think we can help people who are like, who just want to have more brand deals or maybe start their own company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think when I first started pitching, I would just send DMs to brands, to hotels. And I will say, even to this day, if it's a hotel, DMs still work so well. Like, but I don't want to say necessarily put my whole pitch in the DM. I more or less ask them like, hey, like I would love to work with you guys or partner. Who would be the appropriate person to reach out to for this? And then they usually send me an email, and that always works because then I have the exact email as opposed to just cold emailing. And this is mainly for hotels. I'm sure it works with brands too, but then usually with brands, I'll either find, I have, what's it called? I have like a little shortcut in my Gmail where I can like look up a brand.
Is it Clearbit?
Clearbit, yes. That's exactly what it is. Okay. Do you use it too?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So I have Clearbit, so I normally can find people's emails, not to sound creepy, but I'm like, I can
I mean, because there's so many emails out there, and I think a lot of people make the mistake of reaching out to customer service.
Yes.
You don't want to be in touch with them. You don't have a customer service issue. You have a marketing question.
Exactly. And usually even if you reach out to the customer email, like they'll either never respond to you or they'll just say, okay, cool, we're going to forward this to our team. And they're never going to actually forward it.
Never. No.
Never. So I will say Clearbit, like if anyone's watching this and listening to this, and if you want to have a shortcut, get Clearbit. We both use it.
Or even LinkedIn.
That was my next point.
Website. So even if sometimes it'll be like marketing and sometimes you can get through that way.
Exactly.
But you want to make sure that you're reaching out to like the right team and not customer service.
Yeah. So I'll give an example. So I used LinkedIn, because that's going to be my next thing, to get the contact for Virgin Voyages, the cruise company. And I basically looked up, I don't know if I always look up either like their marketing department or their like influencer marketing department, something in that realm. And I found the contact. I emailed them. I basically pitched them. So I have 2 different decks. Like Influencer Me is just like a media kit. And I honestly only like send that out maybe like 10% of the time because I'm mainly focused on Elation, the agency. So I have a media kit for me for that, or a whole like actual pitch deck for Elation that kind of just explains who we are, examples of work, like services we can offer, just kind of like a very like intro pitch deck to who we are, that I'll usually attach to an email. So for the Virgin Voyages example, I found the contact, emailed them, was like, hey, like I would really love to partner with you guys. Like I'm Georgia, I own Elation, like this is what we do, I attach a deck. And then it helps kind of in my experience if you almost like tell them what you want to do as opposed to just leaving it open-ended. So for Virgin Voyages, I knew, because I did a little bit of research, that they had like a Caribbean campaign coming up. They added new destinations. They were going to go all over the Caribbean, and they were, in my opinion, didn't have as much content to promote that. So in my email, I was like, I'd love to work together. I see that you just started a new Caribbean campaign to all these different destinations. I would love to come on one of the cruises. We can partner together. I'll get this content, blah, 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 blah. Like here, attached is a deck with more information. And that worked. And I ended up going on 2 different projects with them. And it was great. Like they're such a great team. And I was honestly surprised that actually worked. But it works, so I definitely recommend LinkedIn and approaching it with more of a specific idea as opposed to like open-ended when pitching.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes people want to get out as many pitches as possible where it's more generic, but you're saying to do your research and be a bit more targeted with your outreach.
Yes. Well, if you know there's certain brands you want to work with. So like I think my goal, I kind of been bad at it the last month because I've been so busy with work, but I usually would send out like 20 emails a day. So, or no, whatever I would do, I would always make sure I would send out like 100 emails a week. So however much that is per day, like Monday to Friday. I'm like, I can't do simple math in my head right now. But then I would have a list of like every week, like 10 specific brands that I would really want to work with out of those like 100 potential like emails. And only those 10 specific ones would I curate a more specific email or pitch to, like Virgin Voyages, right? The other, let's just say like 90 emails are normally a very like generic pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you got it. This is like what I train my employees with.
Oh, amazing.
So I'm kind of blown away because I'm like, did you pick this up from when you worked in music, or did you sort of like trial and error everything?
I just tried and errored everything.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I mean. As we were talking about owning your own company, like there was literally not a single person to kind of tell me what to do. I obviously like listened to podcasts, watched YouTube videos. I think I joined this one like creator workshop ones, you know what I mean? Like all like those like random things.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I actually just did it and got emails back in the beginning that were just no. I mean, I still get no's all the time. Like, but I'm a big believer in if you send like, again, like 100 emails or even 80 emails or 50 emails, like all it takes is for one person to say yes. And then you have the job that you wanted. And the next 100, another person will say yes. But yeah, I just learned that as I went.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you teach that to your employees because I'm okay, cool, I'm doing something right.
No, you are. Everything you're saying, I'm like, oh my God, it's what we do all day, every day. But my background is PR, so I picked it all up. I was on the opposite side. So I sort of like knew these things. For you, like you totally just had to like teach yourself, which is amazing. Which
I will say it was way more difficult than I thought because I'm over here like on Canva, like putting things together. And again, Googling like how to make a pitch deck or like how does a creative agency reach out to a brand? Literally, like those are things that I would Google. And I would just read articles and I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm just so maybe like ADHD, I don't know, where I would look those things up and it just didn't resonate with me. So again, I'm a very like, I just need to do it. And if it doesn't work, then I know it doesn't work. And if it does work, I'm like, cool, I'm just going to keep doing that again and figure out a way to like make it better.
Yeah. I mean, you've got it 100%. I'm like, all right, tell me more. I feel like everything you're saying, I'm like, this all sounds so familiar.
I know. I'm like, we need to like get coffee now and hang out more because I'm like, yeah, we're doing the same thing. This is great.
I love it. And Googling too.
Yeah.
It's funny how like, there's so many people in the world that don't realize how much free information is accessible to us. Like you could literally, I remember when I was starting Zink, I was like, I feel like I could be a doctor just by Googling. Like, wow. Like, I could be a surgeon at this point.
Honestly, there's so many things out there and it's just crazy. Like if I wanted to, so when I was learning my drone, like I'm all self-taught. I've never had like somebody teach me. like I would just look up everything.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's like drone courses out there, obviously. I mean, I did take a drone course to get my license, but getting your license is much different than actually flying, which is very surprising. It's almost like a permit test whenever you go to get your driver's license. You just have to take a written portion. Well, I don't know. I think we actually did have to drive in our permit test. Never mind. That's such a bad example.
Wait, did we? No, I think it was written.
It was just written, right?
Yeah, it was written.
Okay, so that's what the drone license is. It's just written. You don't even have to know how to fly a drone, which was crazy to me. Because I spent like 2 years figuring out how to master flying it before I got my license. And I was like, wow, I could have just taken this test and already had it. Like, it's just a written portion. Anyways, the reason why I said that is because I just learned everything off Google. And it's just crazy what you said, how much free information is out there.
Yeah, it is like insane, especially like podcasts.
Yes.
Because I'd listen to people's stories, and because I'm like, okay, I have no money. Where do I start? And a big thing for me, okay, so I'm going to like throw this at you because I think this is what was super important to me. And I definitely got screwed over in my like first year doing it, but taxes. What is your like experience with agency and like taxes and everything?
That's so funny you said that, because like literally just this past month I like panicked because again, I am by no means like that. Taxes are actually like my least favorite thing. I can't.
Oh, I get an extension every year.
Yeah.
Like my accountant, who I love and trust and work with every year, he doesn't even ask me anymore. He's like, filed your extension.
That's so funny.
Like, thanks, Frank. You know me so well.
That's so funny. Good job, Frank.
Yeah, I'll speak to you in October.
Yeah. So the first year that I had Elation, we actually like obviously didn't even really make that much money, because we were just very like trial error. Like we did a bunch of like free work for people. So the first year I didn't even file taxes because I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And that's probably like so sketchy, but I'm like, that's so sketchy. But we also now that
you weren't making like,
that's what I mean. Now that like I know, before like I get in trouble, like we didn't even legally make enough money to even file taxes. So it worked out. Then the second year I hired an accountant, and he was great, but I actually like then realized he didn't write off a lot of the stuff that could have been written off for like a creative agency specifically. So like we had bought in camera gear, and I bought a new laptop, and he didn't write any of that off.
Oh my God.
So then we were in our second year, and we made more money, but we still didn't make like a lot. So then we owed taxes, and I was like, I feel like I shouldn't owe anything. Like this is like really weird, because we're still like under that kind of line of you make a lot of money as an agency kind of thing. So anyways, now this year, the third year, I actually filed my taxes by myself this year.
Wow.
Which was a lot of work, and I don't want to ever do it again. So if there's any creative agency like tax people, whether it's Frank, like let me know. I will hire you, because that was crazy.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. I mean,
oh my God.
I did it, and I was so proud of myself. Like I haven't felt that accomplished in so long, but I'm probably, to answer your question, I'm probably not the person to ask about taxes, because
you're still figuring it out.
I'm still figuring it out, and I did them myself this year, and hopefully I did it all correctly. I think I did.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't even want to like send my accountant my write-offs, let alone filing it myself.
Yeah.
I think I'd honestly rather go to jail.
I know, honestly. Well, I submit them this year, and I was like, what if I like go to jail? Like, that's a real thing. Like, you don't think about it. The whole like tax evasion thing, like there's obviously people who make so much money who actually like do it purposely, but then I'm over here like a small little agency owner doing my own taxes, and I'm like, what if I forgot that I like made this like $100 or something, or what if I actually had this write off? Like, am I gonna go to jail? I was like calling my mom, and she was like, oh my gosh, you're fine. Like, just review all your stuff, because I use QuickBooks to keep account of everything. I don't know if you use that or...
Yeah, but weirdly, it took me years to start it. When I tell you what I started doing, I would go down my bank statement and like like carry one over like to an Excel.
I did the same thing.
Like
it took me
an idiot,
so long.
like for years.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, "Why don't you use QuickBooks?" I'm like, "What is that?" And I dabbled,
and
I'm like, "Oh, it just pulls it into an Excel."
I literally the same thing happened to me. I was doing one by one. I think I still have the Excel sheet. It's like gonna be forever. Something I'm probably gonna frame at some point.
Yeah.
But same thing. I did like one by one on my bank statements, and I was just like, this is taking so long. Yep. And then somebody was like, why don't you use QuickBooks? And I was like, what's that? I was like, what is that?
I like to just spend like, oh my God, it used to take me like days, hours, and miserable. And then QuickBooks, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I found out you can even take your bank statement and like put it into an Excel by downloading it.
Yeah. Again, I had no idea of that either. And I didn't even know too with QuickBooks that you could send like reoccurring invoices to clients.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, which again, I was just making my own invoices and just sending them, and like I had my own reminder like every month, like this is the day I'm going to send out my invoices, because I have a lot of retainer clients that I do social media management for, and I've had them for years, and it wasn't until like the last year where I was like, wow, I can just create an invoice and custom make it. It goes out the first of every month, and it sends a reminder after 15, 30 days, whatever. Like, this is great. I no longer have to make these little invoices in Canva anymore.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are so many things, like when starting a business, of like, all right, I've been doing it the hard way for so long. And then you find something like QuickBooks and you're like, wow.
Yeah, you just feel like,
with all the research that you do, and you never like came across that.
Exactly. And I think that's like to go back to what we were talking about earlier, where there's nobody there to teach you how to start a business. You have nobody to like lean on. It's something so small as that to maybe somebody else, like, you can't believe you didn't know about QuickBooks. To us, it's like a monumental change for an entire like workflow.
Oh, yeah. No, I have so many of those at Zink. Like, I used to just write out my clients in an email and send it to brands. Like, here's 20 clients linked. And then I was like, oh, I could do like a deck and have it be visual.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like you don't know what you don't know.
Stone Age era. I like that. What? Or like, okay, Google Drive. Do you use Google Drive for everything?
I love Google Drive.
I can't. I feel like I haven't come across anything better. I just feel like it's easiest to like upload content. And
some people love Dropbox. I don't know. I'm like not a fan of Dropbox. I just, for whatever reason, even when I buy unlimited storage with Dropbox, I still somehow run out of space, and I don't understand it.
Always.
Yeah, so I'm definitely a Google Drive girl. And I also sometimes use I originally was using Notion for the longest time. I don't know if you know what that is. You might like it. It's a good like project management tool. I'm kind of in this in between now if I'm going to stick with Notion or Monday.com, because we're starting now to like actually hire people onto our agency, and Monday.com is a more, I guess, professional way of having a project management tool, but like Notion's also so nice. So I know, yes, project management tools, if anybody cares, Notion and Monday.com.
I love it. Wait, is that like, why am I blanking? When you say project management, is it like giving tasks to your team?
Yeah, so it's almost just, so me and my business partner, we don't live in the same area right now. So as soon as he's able to come over here, then like great, like miscommunications will never happen. But whenever we're far apart, we both have like different roles and strengths that we're good at. So we both take like different meetings. We have different deadlines for different things. And it's really good for us to have a place where we can both be on the same page, that if I can't talk to him, then I know like if I go into Notion or Monday.com, whichever one I'm going to continue with, okay, cool. I know that Jack has this, and this due next week. I also have this, and this. And like we can like remind each other or like check in and be like, did you do this? Did you do this? So it's good for that. And then also when you bring people on, whether it's like contractors or full-time, to assign them things.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm so old school. I just like text everybody.
Well,
I'm not that kind of worker where I can like go in and do an extra step of like, here's.
Well, see, so
I
I'm kind of similar. I like go back and forth. I think it's like maybe like the producer in me. Like sometimes I'll take on like the project manager of our agency if, let's say, Jack has more work coming to him in the moment, or it'll reverse. Then Jack will take on the project manager role if I have more work, or neither of us take on the project manager work and we do the same thing. We just text each other like, oh my God, when's that video due again? Or, oh shoot, like the video's due tomorrow. Like we had to pull an all-nighter. Like we totally forgot, because we get so many projects all at once. And I don't know if this happens to you. It feels like it goes in waves. Either we'll have just like nothing and we're like, cool, we have like a break, or we'll have like 10 things all at once. And we're like, oh my God, like, are we ever going to be able to breathe and live again? There's so many things. There's so many all-nighters and edit deadlines.
Yeah, well, for you, it's definitely a little different because you are editing. Like, there's just so much that goes into it. And also, I guess you'll learn this when you have a team, but you do have to be respectful of, like, work hours. So like,
I know that. I know that happened.
So after 5 p.m. Samantha, I'm like, all right, you're right. Enjoy dinner.
That's literally so we started to finally, like, get more people like coming on like longer term than just like contracted for projects.
Yeah.
And there's this one girl who we're gonna onboard in a month, and I love her to death. And it's same thing, like me and Jack have both texted her once at like 2 a.m. before, and we're just like up late, like editing, like, hey, like did you see this video? Or like, oh, like here, deck's done, or like, hey, can you do this? And then she'll wake up at like 8 a.m. and she'll be like, hey guys, it was 2 a.m. Like I was sleeping, but I'll do that today. And we're like, oh,
yeah.
But like, it's one of those things you just forget. You're so like in it. And like Jack and I are so used to working like almost like 24/7, but in a good way, because it's stuff that we love. And we're still like building our agency, where I just forget it's 2 a.m. and I'm just like, oh, cool, this is done. Or like, oh, cool, I'm going to need this from her tomorrow. I might as well just text her now.
Yeah, because it's just been you two, and you guys both work well that way. And it sounds like you guys are creatives that work throughout the night, and you're building.
He's more of the one who works throughout the night. Yeah. I'm a very like, it's so crazy. We're so different. I'm a like, I want to be up at like 7 a.m. I want to do like my yoga. I want to get my coffee. And then I want to start working while like the sun's out, because it just like motivates me more.
Yeah.
And then when it gets into the late hours, I'm just like, okay, cool. Like let's do like something fun, and like let's like not do work, or let's go do something else like creative that isn't necessarily for a client. Whereas then Jack will, it like hits 9 p.m. He's like, all right. He's like cracking his fingers. He's like, let's edit. Let's go all nighter. And I'm like,
oh my God, no, I cannot work like that.
Me either. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. I need sleep. I'm like,
Same.
like 9:30. I'm like, all right, let's put our show on.
Yeah.
Time for bed.
Same. I'm like an 8 hours of sleep kind of girl. I mean, when I'm traveling though for work, I like sleep. I don't really need it, because I'm waking up at sunrise every day. Like my like working hours are usually like 17 hours straight, depending on what the deliverables are for the client. But when I'm not traveling in a consistent environment, which is kind of rare, then I'm definitely I need 8 hours of sleep kind of girl.
So wait, that actually reminds me. So if somebody is interested in your career, are you saying like the hours are insane and you have to be ready for it?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Like it's no like 9 to 5. Like you're like in it. No, like it's a lot of work and long hours, and no like clocking out at 5.
Yeah. Like, okay, I guess if you, let's say, work for, let's say, like an already like really big established agency, like, I don't know, like BuzzFeed. Let's just go with BuzzFeed, right? If you work with BuzzFeed, then sure, you might have like a very 9 to 5 schedule. But if you want to start your own agency, you want to start your own thing, you will definitely work like 24/7 most likely, at least for the first like couple years. Because I know we're in year 3 and we're just now getting comfortable with the fact that we don't have to work all the time like crazy psycho people. We can take like the weekend off if we want to. But then again, we're both workaholics in like the best way, where even if we take the weekends off, we're still thinking about ideas for clients. So yeah.
Well, it's your baby too.
Yeah.
And honestly, in the beginning, my whole thing was like, oh, if I don't make money, which is like commission based, I don't survive. So.
No, exactly. Especially here in LA. I'm still the same way. I'm like, if I even want to like take a month off or 2 months off, again, since I'm still like third year in, like where's the money gonna come from? Like I'm solely responsible for the agency. Like it's not like I can just drop everything and take a month off and like somebody else will do the work. Like I'm my own like boss in a way, so I have to have such good self-discipline where if I don't show up, then like nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Which I think is like the craziest thing that you have to like be really aware of when starting a business or a company or anything. As I'm sure you know too, like you have to show up for yourself.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the thing is that you just probably will never take a day off the rest of your life either.
I know. You literally.
Like, I still to this day just don't take a day off.
Same.
Because I feel like, I don't know, it's almost like there was a time where you couldn't take a day off. And I think that sticks with you throughout it all. I mean, maybe that will change, like, as we get older. But I think it's like this mental thing of
like you're always
almost like you're
on.
Losing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if I take a day off, like everything will come crashing down, even if you have a full team to support you.
Yeah, I think that might be like a mindset thing of like maybe entrepreneurs or people who want to go their own route. I feel like I've noticed that we all kind of share this very like ambitious, like competitive nature, like towards ourselves, where it's like, okay, cool, like I just want to keep getting better and keep like showing up every single day and like seeing what I can do next kind of attitude.
Yeah, like truly. So we are wrapping up, but you have exciting things. I feel like I'm like sitting with myself. It's like,
I know, I'm like, I love this
thing. I'm like, okay. But what do you have next? Like, what is next for you, Elation? What are your big goals?
Yeah, so currently we are working on expanding to the East Coast, actually, in terms of actually like having an office. So my old university, we're partnering with them to open up an office on their campus. So a lot of upcoming students who are interested in the creative world and entrepreneurs can have a space to work out of, and we can get more Pittsburgh clients that they can help assist with. So I'm really excited about that. And just in general, we have a lot of kind of creator trips that are coming up that we're going to be doing. So we have one to Slovenia. We're going to try to do one in Bali. So we have a lot of travel coming up. But this summer, because my business partner is finally going to be able to move here, we are going to stay in LA and really focus on creating more work for brands locally. So yeah, there's so many things. There's always so many things going on, and it's so exciting every day.
Well, it sounds like you're not necessarily like planning, but you're like kind of going with the flow and just enjoying the journey. Yeah,
because there's obviously like bigger things that we have that we want. Like we want to create a creator house in LA for different entrepreneurs and photographers and videographers. But in terms of like the right now, we have so many different jobs just like coming to us instead of us like having to like advertise, which I think is so cool. And I want to like ride that out as long as possible just to see where that takes us. Like, I don't chase jobs, I attract jobs. Yes. Ooh, I like that. All right, my love. Well, thank you for coming on. This was such a great conversation. Like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I just felt like we were kind of like going off of each other. And I know, I loved it. You are so successful so far. And so I love hearing your story. And I'm excited to see where you take it. Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is so great. And you are so cool. I feel like we're talking to the same person almost. I love it. I know. It was crazy. Well, thank you. Until next time, y'all.